now.
I want to start with something probably unexpected. It is a great thing that we can gather in the streets like this and protest. There are many countries where you can't, and I want to thank the police for their courtesy and their care, regardless of their opinion. It's that sort of decency and respect for freedom that marks the Australia that I grew up in, but it is changing, and it's changing because of the present federal government. Remember all the promises Tony Abbott made before the last election. Remember all the promises Tony Abbott made before the last election. Look at all the promises he's broken. If any of you had known, if anyone in Australia had known what the budget would look like, would anyone have voted for Tony Abbott? No. The other terrible thing that is being done, apart from all the broken promises, is the continued deliberate cruelty to men, women and children who've done nothing worse than come here asking for protection. Scott Morrison is deliberately harming innocent men, women and children, and he's doing it to gain political support. Remember, never forget that they said they were going to treat people cruelly. They promised cruelty at the last election, and the cruelty they promised was supposed to stop people from drowning. They don't say anything about the people who fear to come here and instead get killed by the genocidal regime in Sri Lanka or by the Taliban in Afghanistan. They don't worry about those deaths. They say they're worried about drownings, and it's a lie. Because the people they're mistreating are the ones who don't drown. They mistreat the ones who do not drown. And they're promising to reintroduce temporary protection visas. Temporary protection visas deny the right to family reunion. That means that if one member of the family gets here and is assessed as a refugee, they cannot get back together with their family unless the family use people smugglers. Temporary protection visas, which the Abbott-Morrison government so desperately want, actively attract people that get on boats, and they say they don't want people drowning. Before the election, they said that every drowning was terrific because it helped their cause. They are deliberately mistreating people, and the way they're treating refugees in Australia is a crime, and there has already been a reference put into the International Criminal Court complaining of that very treatment. And if you feel exhausted keeping up the pressure on the government, if you feel so tired you can't keep going on, just support yourselves with the vision of Tony Abbott and Scott Morrison in the dock at The Hague. And we know the cruelty, we know the crimes, we know the broken promises, but remember, the basis for all of this cruelty to refugees is based on a lie. For years they have called refugees illegals. They do not break any law at all by coming here and asking for protection. The whole of this cruel, expensive system is based on a lie. And there's one thing you can do, apart from writing to your parliamentarians, apart from protesting in the streets, there's one thing you can do. When the next election comes around, remember the crime, remember the cruelty, remember the lies, remember the broken promises, and kick them out.